we've had the AUUU airdrop. The reason we wanted to do that was to give people a kind of risk-free way of learning how to use Pryzm. And so, once people kind of, you won't fit, like if you're switching between yield and principal tokens or, liquidity pool tokens or practicing providing liquidity or any of these different things you can do to, make profits on Pryzm. You can now do with the AUUU token, and you can kind of learn how to use Pryzm. And then you'll feel more confident using it for, with Atom or Injective or anything else. I think there's three pretty big campaigns coming up that are going to launch on Pryzm. And so understanding how Pryzm works means that you're going to earn a significant amount more tokens than people who don't. So, the first one of those we announced is our campaign with Drop, which is the liquid staking token provider that's launching on Neutron. You're going to be able to farm droplets on Pryzm using yield tokens and liquidity pool tokens. So that's going to be a huge opportunity, and it's also going to mean that you're going to be able to buy Atom at a massive discount and Celestia at a massive discount when they launch their D-tier token. You've also got the Pryzm launch coming up, which will be similar, farming Pryzm tokens with yield tokens or providing liquidity to the boost pool. And then we have another one coming up, which isn't public yet, but we'll hopefully be out with something next week. So there's three, and we're expecting kind of much more. So this is AUUU is a great opportunity for people to learn how to kind of use Pryzm. And so I guess what I thought I'd do today is run through the app and kind of hopefully explain to people a little bit about how it works, and what, spotting kind of profitable trades and that kind of stuff. If people are keen for it, and then obviously keep asking the questions in the chat, and we can run through them all and make sure everyone gets everything they need answered, if that makes sense. So Aaron, if you're up for it, I'll take it away with screen share.
Let's do it. I will be watching and very excited.
So this is the normal homepage, which people who've used Pryzm should be familiar with. This is kind of where you can see the top movers and the top yields. And this is kind of in the 24-hour time period. So you can kind of see now, there's been some huge returns on AUUU, and this is the dominant, dollar-denominated return. So people have made 100% trading Deck 24 AUUU over the space of the last 24 hours. Osmo, you could have made 64%. So kind of just gives you an idea of the kind of moves you can see in 24 hours. This is the top yields at the moment. So if I was coming to this page and looking at it, I'd be like, okay, this is interesting. I want to be, I want to be earning a high yield. So which of these assets do I want to potentially own? And we'll look a little bit more at that in a bit. And then these are all the liquidity pools and the yields that you can earn by paying by holding the liquidity pool tokens. And as a reminder, in Pryzm, liquidity pool tokens are liquid tokens. You can either mint a liquidity pool token, or you can actually just buy one on the AMM. So if you buy this, if you buy the Osmo boost pool token, you're going to be earning this yield, and you can actually just buy this token. You don't even need to go and provide liquidity. I'd recommend providing liquidity, but you don't have to. You can just buy and trade these tokens. So getting back to the first bit, so I've just received my AUUU airdrop, so I am going to click on my portfolio. The first place to go is we've made a fun page for AUUU, so you can click here, which is the Beasts page, and this shows you how many people got airdrop the AUUU token, how many people, what the current market cap is, what the current price is, and most importantly, what the current APY is. So because Pryzm's a yield a yield platform and, you know, the layer one that's dedicated to yield, we have made a high random APY on AUUU tokens so that it really exaggerates the movements in yield and principal tokens when the yield changes. So people, so kind of like, we'll show people much more like how profitable it can be to do yield trading and principal token trading. So this bit is where you actually, this is like where you turn your AUUU into a liquid stake token. So I've got one AUUU here. I'm gonna stake it. There we go. I can set the gas here, as people know. You can set the gas in anything, Atom, Osmo, Injective, etc. Close and approve that transaction. So I've just liquid staked some AUUU there to get more CAUUU. Everyone was airdropped some CAUUU anyway, and so CAUUU is like it's just a liquid staking token. C tokens in Pryzm are just the name for Pryzm's liquid staking tokens. So anyone that's familiar with Stride or Lido, or I'm trying to think of other ones, they're kind of like the major ones, or Jito Sol or Marinade Sol or whatever. It's just a normal liquid staking token, and C is just a name for it in Pryzm. So these are kind of like some of the fun things. There you go. These are some of the fun things you can do with your AUUU tokens. You can refract it into yield and principal tokens, or you can stake your AUUU token just to start earning the yield, which you saw us do in the portfolio page earlier on. So here we've got our balances, and that is that. Okay, cool. And then here we go on to, this is where we can start really looking at what we want to do with the tokens. We go principal and yield tokens here. And let's click on AUUU. So if I want to know what each of these tokens were, we've put in this how-to section here. So this kind of gives you a really quick way of saying, okay, what's a fixed yield token? What's a principal token? I saw someone asking earlier on in the chat, like, what is a negative yield? So this is your explanation here of why there's a negative yield. So this hopefully should answer some of these questions, and kind of give you a really quick place to learn what is a C token, what's a yield token, what's a principal token. So coming back here so it's like, you now, because you've got airdropped all of these different tokens, you now can be like, okay, well, which token am I going to swap for one of the other ones? And it's like, well, the underlying AUUU itself, the liquid staked AUUU, is currently earning 251% yield. So that makes me think PAUUU, which is like the fixed yield token, which basically it's like buying AUUU at a discount. And it means that you're going to, if you buy one PAUUU, you're going to get one CAUUU, one AUUU's worth of CAUUU in 52 days. So really, that can sound confusing, but if you just look at these numbers, it basically says you'll buy something now at this price, and it's going to be worth this in 52 days. And it's basically that saying, oh, that means you get a fixed yield because you're buying something at a discount now, and you know you're guaranteed what you're going to get in 52 days time. So really, when we're looking at trades here, we're like, okay, well, I can just hold the liquid staking token and get 250%, or I can hold the principal token and I'm only going to get 168%. That suggests to me that the principal token is expensive and is not giving a good yield compared to the underlying liquid staking token. However, AUUU is giving 800%. So that seems like quite a good trade there. Like, the AUUU token is going to give me all of the yield of one AUUU token up until 30th of September 2024. So a good trade here could be swapping from the low yield token into CAUUU, or swapping from your PAUU into more YAUU, so you get a higher yield there. And another potential trade might be like, well, I want to own fixed yield tokens because I prefer getting a guaranteed yield, but this token I own is only yielding 18%, and this one's yielding 168%. So I might actually swap a long dated or long maturity PAUU token for a shorter maturity token. And you can click here and see the kind of like chart's got a bit crazy because of the yields and stuff like that. But you can sort of see the price movements of the different tokens here. So we've just added these charts recently with these labels, so you can kind of see like what's been outperforming, what's been underperforming, like which one's better, which one's worse. And so that's like how you think about a trade. So what would I do personally? Not financial advice here. I'd definitely be selling this token, and I'd either sell that. I'd probably sell that and buy some CAUU. I would definitely be buying this token because 800% yield just seems very, very attractive. So I'd probably be buying that token with either this token or maybe just with some of the underlying liquid staking derivative. I definitely wouldn't have any loose AUUU tokens that I hadn't staked, because the underlying staking yield of AUUU is currently 250%. So if you're just holding AUUU tokens, then you're getting diluted significantly. So that would probably be like the kind of trades I do. And then I've also got to remember that there's also AUUU liquidity pool tokens. So I can either look at those liquidity pool tokens here by typing in AUUU, and I can see that they've got a pretty high yield to them, not as high as the underlying liquid staking token. And the reason for that is this liquidity pool contains CAUUU and all the different PAUUU maturities. And as we saw on the other page, PAUUs are actually yielding less than CAUUU. So that's why the yield here of the underlying pool is actually less than we saw with the liquid staking derivative. Because if the pool was 100% liquid staking derivative rather than just 74%, then it would be like 250% yield. But because the yield is getting diluted because these are slightly lower yield. I realize that's like a little bit of information, but hopefully kind of explains what's happening there. And then we're trying to we've made this token page so it's kind of hopefully a lot more beginner and user friendly here. So actually you can just look at all the AUUU tokens here and go, right, these are all the different AUUU tokens. I can sort here by yield and see which ones have the very highest yield and which ones have the lowest yield. So obviously, like, as I said earlier, anyone holding this just by itself, that's like financial self-harm, because you're getting diluted at 251% a year, because this is the liquid staking derivative. These ones, because they're trading at a lower yield than the liquid staking derivative, suggest that they're very expensive and should probably be sold for either the liquid staking derivative or some high yielding assets like YAUUU or potentially even the AUUU USDC liquidity pool. Obviously, we've seen lots of airdrop jeeters who have been selling out of their AUUU, and so that has like increased the yield quite a lot on this liquidity pool. So that can be a good thing. You can like buy that liquidity pool token potentially if you want to earn this 270% yield. And so what we've also done is like tried to make it so you can get the explanation you need for what each asset is in the individual page here. So just to show people again, you go on tokens page, you go search for the flavor of tokens you want, and then you click here and it shows you here. So it goes PAUUU. I don't know whether you can see my screen, Erin. Is that like big enough or is it too small?
I think it's big enough. I can see it well. Chat, can you see it?
Okay, nice. So this here is like your explanation of what your token is. So actually, you can almost, if you just want to do this, you can actually just almost ignore all those other pages and just be like, okay, what is each of these tokens? So PAUUU allows you to redeem liquid staked AUUU worth 1 AUUU on the maturity date of 31st of December, which is over 1 year from now. So it's on 31st of December 2025. And then it gives you the return on investment. It says it's currently trading at a 31.3% discount to its redeemable value of 1 AUUU, which gives a fixed yield of 45.57% of maturity. And then when you annualize that, because you'd be making 45.57% to December 2025. So when you annualize that actually only gives 18.5% return over the year, or per year. And this gives you the relative value compared to the liquid staking token. So it says, well, the liquid staking token is giving you 251% yield, and this one is only giving you 18.5% yield, which basically is saying this is a horrible token to own right now. You should absolutely swap this token for the liquid staking token or something with a high yield. And then with these charts, we've tried to make charts so it's like helpful for people to be able to kind of compare one token with another, and also just get a really good sense of like whether something's good value or not. So you can do this with you can just look at the price here of the token itself and just see where it's gone. Obviously, like after we saw the after people got their airdrop, there was like mass selling by people for USDC. I mean, the liquidity pool was only like $1,000 because the point of AUUU is not to sell it for dollars; it's to trade it between PC and Y and liquidity pool tokens. But yeah, here you can see the price 7 day 1 month. But you can then compare with, say, the CAUUU token. And once we get a bit more time data, it'll be helpful on these. We just need a bit more historic data, but you can kind of like see how the price of each of them's performed. And then this gives you the price in the underlying asset. So it allows you to kind of look at the relative value versus CAUUU. And then this shows you, if it loads, the historic yield. I think we need some more time history on this because the yields only just went live yesterday. But that kind of hopefully is your page to like be able to compare tokens. So if you go, let's look at Atom, for example, because Atom might be more familiar for people. So I go P-Atom here. P-Atom 30th of September 24 allows you to redeem liquid staked Atom worth 1 Atom on the maturity date of the 30th of September, which is about 2 months from now. It tells you the discount here. It says 1 P-Atom is currently trading at a discount of 10.8% to the value of 1 Atom, which gives you a fixed yield of 12.81% to maturity. P-Atom has a current AP win, so when you annualize the 12%, that gives you 19% per year. And then for the comparison, liquid staked Atom is earning 17.87%, which is lower than the yield, the fixed yield you're getting here by P-Atom. So for me, like if the fixed yield is higher than the liquid staked yield, I generally think that's quite a good trade, because I'd rather get a guaranteed 19% than a variable 17.87%, unless I thought that there was going to be something amazing happening with Atom yield that was going to mean it was going to load higher. If Atom yield was going to go a load higher, that would normally mean lots of people would need to unstake their Atom, or there would need to be like a governance proposal to change Atom chain inflation, which could be bearish. And so if I want to compare this to, say, C-Atom, I can sort of compare the prices here, and it'll show me, you know, what was better to hold, or maybe I want to compare it to, like, you know, the Atom Boost token. Like, a lot of people don't know that, obviously, well, no, people realize this, but like protocols don't show you that actually if you hold a pool token, the price of that moves around the whole time. So you can actually see like how well correlated holding the Atom Boost token is compared to, you know, holding P-Atom, for example. And so the Atom Boost token's earning a nice high yield as well. And then this page basically gives you kind of the information you need, and then you can come here and just do your sort of very simple swap. So I'd say this page, tokens page, is great for beginners. That'll tell you a bit about the tokens. The earn page here with all the different information on the rates. This is great for people that kind of want a bit more granular information and feel a bit more confident navigating around Pryzm. And providing liquidity, we didn't touch on this earlier, but this is super simple. Like, if you want to provide liquidity here to, say, the Atom Boost pool, you can actually just do it with Atom, just with single-sided providing yield here with Atom. And so that allows you to very quickly kind of mint a Boost token and earn this 20.9% yield that you're getting. And a lot of people ask, like, what's the difference between internal APR and swap fee APR? So internal APR is basically saying some of the assets that are inside the liquidity pool are actually earning a yield. So, like, for example, if a liquid stake token is inside a liquidity pool, it's earning yield anyway, just by the fact it's a liquid stake token. So that's what you call internal APR. And then swap fee APR is the yield that gets paid every time a trader comes and does a swap in a liquidity pool. They pay a fee, and that kind of accumulates in the pool and is paid out to liquidity, and it basically increases the value of your liquidity provider token. So that is a fair amount of info, but I mean, like, hopefully it kind of gives an idea of kind of the different things that you can do with AUUU and why it's a bad idea just to hold simple AUUU itself and not convert that to CAUUU or PAUUU or one of the liquidity pool tokens. Many of the question is, can you explain negative yields? When you buy a Y asset with a variable positive yield, you have to check every day if the yield has gone to negative values. Can this be automated somehow with a notification, for example? So what this means is, I'd say, first of all, like, click on that rates page with the how-to section, and we have the explanation of what negative yields are there. So that kind of like gives you kind of like the text version of it, but I can give you the voice explanation of it now, which is, if I have $100 and I'm expecting to get a 20% yield over the next year, then I'm expecting to receive $20 over the next year. Now, if I buy a yield token, which gives me the right to the yield of that $100 over the next year, I'm expecting to receive $20, as we said. So now the question is, like, if I spend more than $20 on that yield token and receive $20, then that's a negative yield. But because I'm spending more than $20 and I'm only going to receive 20, so I'm losing money. And the reason for this is, as mentioned, is a yield token gives you the right to that $20 over the next year. And then because the $20 have been paid out and it's the end of the year, that's the end of your right. So so your yield token itself is worthless at the end of the year because it's paid you out the $20 that you were expecting. So if we look at an example, if you were expecting to receive, if current yields on your $100 are 20%, you're expecting to receive $20. If you buy a yield token for $10 and you're expecting to receive $20 over the next year, then that means that you're buying something that's giving you an expected yield of 100%. So you're gonna double your money. You're spending 10 and you're going to receive 20. Now, what happens is if lots of people come along and buy that token and push its price up to 40, for example, then you're going to pay $40, but you're only going to receive $20. So that means that, and that's a negative yield of 50%. That's kind of what's happening and why you get the negative yield. But if you look at it, if you think about it, the yield is negative for someone buying it there at $40, but you bought the token at $10, and loads of buyers came in and pushed the price up to $40. So you've actually made $30 in price profit on your yield token. So you can actually just sell the yield token you bought at $10 for $40 and cash out. So the yields are actually just a really good way of checking whether something's cheap or expensive. So if it's showing a big negative yield, then that means it's probably time to take profits on it and get out of it, because lots of people have bought it, pushing the yield negative. So it's always worth checking, whether there's been any fundamental change in the underlying protocol that means that a negative yield would make sense. But if not, it normally just means that lots of buyers have come in and pushed up the price of the yield token, which means the yield of it has gone down. And so it could be good time to take profits. So that's why these yield tokens can be, super leveraged and give you really, high returns, because you can just shoot from $10 to $40, which is like a 3x, 300% return or something. If people just buy this token and, aren't necessarily being kind of provide natural kind of buyers and sellers are sort of providing these opportunities for you. So use negative yields my advice would use negative yields as a good indicator to suggest that the yield token's expensive, the price of it has moved up, and it's probably a good time to take some profits or switch into something with a higher positive yield. So that's that question. Does that kind of make sense to people? Hopefully.
Yeah, in the chat, they said that is super clear now. Thank you. And then there's one more question. Is this Atom the same with Atom of Osmosis chain?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same. So this is just Atom that has been sent between blockchains using the inter-blockchain communication protocol. So it's just it's a fungible Atom token. So you could send Atom from Osmosis to Pryzm. You could send Atom from Pryzm to Osmosis, and it would be exactly the same. So yeah, you can do that, and that's the same with Atom, Osmo, USDC, Luna, Injective. They're all the same fungible tokens, and fungible means one can be swapped for another, and they're the same thing.
Next question for you, Mr. Reflector. Could a strategy being buying P assets on discounted price and the underlying asset, and then selling the extra USDC value of the P asset and just holding the P asset until maturity? Yeah.
So that is a brilliant question. So basically, imagine I've got $100 worth of Atom, and I'm planning on. I still want to hold $100 worth of Atom at the end, I'm trying to think of a simple way of wording it with round numbers. So imagine I have 100 Atom, and I know, or I'm expecting Atom to yield 20% over the next year. I want to kind of raise some money now, but I still want to own 100 Atom at the end of the next year. So I know if I stake my Atom and let it earn yield over the next year, then I'm expecting to receive another 20 Atom because it's got a 20% yield. So at the end of the year, I'd have 120 Atom, for example, and then I could sell the 20 Atom as the year went on, or I could wait until the end of the year and sell the 20 Atom to keep just the 100 Atom that I wanted to have exposure to. Or instead of all of that, I could think to myself, well, I want to keep owning 100 Atom, but I'd like to raise some money now. So what you would do is there's two different strategies you could do. on Pryzm, and Mernion makes a really good point. The first thing you could do is take your Atom token and mint principal at P Atom and Y Atom with a 1-year maturity, and just sell your Y Atom. And so that would be that would mean that you keep the principal token, you sell the Y Atom for Atom or for USDC, and you've kept 100 Atom exposure. So in return for your Y Atom, you've received some USDC or some Atom, and you get to keep your P Atom, which gives you your 100 Atom back at the end of the year, or 100 Atom worth of LSD back at the end of the year. So that's kind of like the first way. Just take your Atom, mint a principal token and yield token, and just sell the yield token, because you're basically just selling your right to the yield for the next year. The second strategy, which Mernion mentions there, is you could just take 100 Atom and swap that for 100 P Atom. Because 100 P Atom trades at a discount to, because 1 P Atom plus 1 Y Atom equals 1 Atom, you'll be left with some atoms left over. So say, for example, you sell 100 Atom for 100 P Atom, you might be left with 20 atoms left over. So you can then go sell those 20 atoms on Pryzm or Osmosis or anywhere else for USDC, and you've raised some money, and you've got 100 P Atom that you know will be worth 100 Atom at the end of the year. So that's a really good way of effectively selling your right to your future yield to raise some money now. And that's a good thing. Like if you want to, raise some cash if you want to keep your full Atom exposure and be eligible for, potential airdrops and the rest of it. But you want to have some money now to buy some NFTs, or, buy stuff in the real world, or buy some other tokens, that kind of stuff. Then that's a really good strategy for raising some money. Yeah, exactly, Mernion. As you said there, like either strategy should give you the same exact amount. The second one that you mentioned is actually probably my preferred strategy, which is sell 100 Atom for 100 P Atom, and then any atoms that you have left over, sell those for USDC, because you're accessing better liquidity for Atom there, because you're able to sell your Atom for USDC on Osmosis or Pryzm or wherever the best liquidity is. So you get a better price for that. So I think that's a great trade to do if you want to sell some future yield and raise some money. Less gas fees as well. Well, the gas fees are super cheap, and we have just everyone's just been airdrop loads of AUUU tokens that they can use as gas. So hopefully no one's upset about the gas that they're paying on Pryzm at the moment. So that's that's a really good strategy if you want to sort of raise some money by selling your future staking yields. CK, what is the unstaking time for all assets? I need to double check with the team on AUUU. I think it's like 24 days or something. 24 hours or something like that. Very short time on AUUU. For the other assets like Atom or Injective or Luna or Osmo, it's just whatever their normal unstaking time is. That's if you want to burn your liquid staking token and get back Osmo or Atom or whatever. You have other options where you can swap out of it, or you can use a pulse trade to set a limit order to swap out at the perfect price, or you can actually use our instant burn feature when there's availability on it. But that's that kind of is the unstaking time. For Y assets, there is no unstaking time. You just deposit them, and that means you start collecting the yield. But anytime you want to sell them, you just unstake them instantly, and then you can swap them out. So there's no unstaking period on those at all. So that's that. And then what else was there? Big stake for other assets. Uh, Daniel Crypto, I'm not sure I understand that question. The liquid staking for other assets like Injective, Celestia Luna, and still the same, still 1 day like Atom. So maybe I answered that already. That'll be the 21 days, plus or minus 3 days. There's a slightly funny thing that if you have a wallet with Atom, you're only allowed to have 7 unstakings in each 21-day period. So unstakings are batched into every 3-day period. So it can be up to 24 days for unstaking. So that is that. And the instant burn feature, just that you mentioned there, CK. So instant burn basically says, if someone comes along to the protocol and is like, hey, I want to liquid stake my Atom, then they deposit their Atom into Pryzm. We give them some liquid staked Atom, and their Atom gets batched up with other Atom that people have wanted to liquid stake. And then every 6 hours, for example, that Atom's sent over to Cosmos and staked. But in the meantime, in that 6 hours, if someone comes along and says, oh, I actually want to unstake my Atom, so I want to burn my liquid staked Atom and get back some Atom, they're given an instant unstake option, which is, well, actually, there's lots of people that have just deposited Atom to get the liquid staked Atom. Why don't you redeem some of your Atom against their Atom rather than you needing to wait 24 days to unstake? So it depends on the availability of other people having staked their Atom, but it gives you a good way to instant unstake your Atom when there's availability. So I think that's a good one. There is a fee. You've asked if there will be a fee, of course, for instant burn. There is. I think it's something like 0.5% at the moment, but all these fees will be controlled by governance. So when the Pryzm token is live, the community can vote on whether it's what a good fee is and how much Pryzm token holders deserve to collect on that. So that's how that works. Oh, nice. Someone says, I wanted to set up a pulse trade to buy AUUU tokens for cheap. How should I go about doing that with Atom as the selling token, for example? Yeah, I can show you that actually on the screen. Pulse trade is we are going to make some improvements to Pulse trade. So, but by improvements, I mean we're going to make some UX improvements to make it kind of simpler, because Pulse trade for people that haven't used it before is kind of a super powerful tool for trading, particularly for tokens like principal tokens and liquid stake tokens, because what Pulse trade says is, like, if you go and trade normally in using the example we were using of Y-Atom earlier on, where it moved from $10 to $30, which pushed the yield from plus 100% to negative 50%. Sometimes if you want to do a trade and you want to be careful not to push up the price of the token in one massive trade and have a huge price impact, or you want to be selective about when you buy the token and have a limit price, it's better to split your trade up into lots of different parts and set a limit price. So that's what we've kind of created with Pulse Trade. So as a really simple example, imagine there's a pool and there's not much liquidity in the pool, and the pool is Atom versus USDC, and you're like, okay, well, I want to buy Atom with 100 USDC, but I don't want to pay more than, say, $4 per Atom, and I want to spend 1 USDC every minute or every hour. So what Pulse Trade will do is it will say, okay, well, look, give me the first dollar of that $100, and I'm going to check the price of Atom in an hour. And if it's below $4, I'm going to spend $1 and buy you as much Atom as I can for below $4. And then if that's successful, then it says, okay, well, I'm going to take $1 more out of your wallet, and I'm going to wait another hour, and then I'm going to check if the atom price is below 4, in which case I'm going to buy you as much atom as I can for that $1. So it works really well like that, and it means you get a much smoother average price, and it allows people to arbitragers to kind of like rebalance the liquidity pool in between each of your trades. So with that having been said, let me try and show an example. As I said, like we are making some improvements to this. So like it should become even clearer to use. But you can see here some of the cool trades that people are doing and like how it works. And you can click on these to see, someone here is doing an AUUU USDC trade. So they are eating out of some AUUU into some USDC. And you can see here like the terms of the trade that they've done and that kind of stuff. Little trick, like AUUU obviously had a huge crazy price spike. Like fun trick for people, if you want to see the chart better, is like to click log rather than percentage. If you click log, you can actually start seeing some of these things a bit better. And you sort of stretch out this chart, and where you see these diagonal movements, that's normally people been doing pulse trades. So if we look at doing one ourselves, trade, pulse trade, create a new pulse trade. So I want to gradually sell some AUUU, and I want to sell a total of, I'll gradually sell atom, or I'll say some p atom. I'm going to say I want to do 1 atom. What's the maximum it'll let me do? 0.05. That's the amount that it'll let me sell. This is the maximum amount that it'll let me sell per interval. Is a governance control parameter, and it's basically just based around the total liquidity in the pool to make sure that the price impact of each trade is super small. But so I'm going to set it even smaller than that, 0.01, 0.0155. It's telling me it's the minimum there, 0.16. Cool. And then, this was one of the UX things that we're working on actually. Is not when you click out, it doesn't completely screw you. So atom to p atom. If you see my mouse moving to the outside and it looks like I'm about to click out again, scream at me. So that's what we're going for. So it's going to sell. I'm going to sell 2 atom. I'm going to sell this amount per interval. How frequently do I want to sell it? I want to sell it every hour. So I'm going to say once an hour, please sell that for me. And I'm going to set a limit price to say, look, if I'm not getting an amount of p atom, then I don't want to sell it. So I can click here to get the current market price. So I'm going to leave it at the market price here, so that I buy at this market price. But if it drastically increases, then it won't do the trade. And then you also have this thing here, which gives you the option to set a price in which you would trade all 2 atom in one go. So what this price does is it means that each 0.156 atom, it checks that it's below that price. And what the bottom thing here does is says, well, look, if the price moves really big time in your favor, then sell all your 2 atom at once. So then I'll create that pulse trade, approve, and that's it. So it's now going to sell some C atom for some P atom, and it's going to do it once an hour. And it's going to do it in that size per trade, 0.1568 atom. So, and here's my chart. You can see someone else has been sneaky pulse trading here, because anytime you see these diagonal things on the charts, that means that someone's probably been pulse trading. That's the pulse trading. So that is how to use pulse trade. We're going to, as I say, we're going to make it even more kind of like intuitive. But it's a really powerful tool for just trading things when there's kind of like lower liquidity. So at the moment on Pryzm, it's perfect because we haven't started incentives. We're still in beta mode, so liquidity is a bit lower. So this is a good way of just of setting orders to execute gradually against the AMM and really reducing your price impact. Okay, cool. All right, I see Miller saying I've got overexcited and run over. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to come and listen in today, and hopefully I've got through most of the questions. But yeah, like really appreciate that. Erin, thank you very much.
No, thank you. I think that was refreshing and a little different than the space. I like the visual. I like being able to watch and follow along.
Yeah, it's very different to the Twitter Spaces. But yeah, like guys, I'd say refractive index chat in Discord is a great place if you've got any follow-up questions for me or for the team. But yeah, like really appreciate everyone tuning in. Hopefully this is recorded, so we'll be able to get it up on YouTube or something. But yeah, if you have any more questions, then let us know in that channel. Nice. All right, I will wrap it up. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Refractor.
All right.